working hard for you. WHSV at 6 begins now with breaking news.
Just heard gunshots go off. We immediately look around at each other in shock, and then we get down once a couple more go off shortly after.
2 officers were shot and killed in a shooting at Bridgewater College today. The suspect later taken into custody. You can see that moment here, this video taken by a viewer. I'm Chelsea Church. Thank you for joining us. There's still a lot of information we do not know yet, but let's get right out to the scene now. WHSV's Bob Grebe and Kyle Rogers both join us live this evening. They've been out there all afternoon working to keep us updated. So what can you guys tell us?
Yeah, Chelsea, we've been out here on campus for more than 4 hours now, and students actually only got out of their classrooms here at Bridgewater College just about 2 hours ago. Some of them were in their classroom all afternoon. We've been outside Memorial Hall and Flory Hall on East College Street, and just in the last half hour, Kyle, Bridgewater College officials confirming to students through an email what?
We've obtained a letter from what appears to be from Bridgewater College's president, who has confirmed to students just what a sad and somber day this was, and saying that there have been 2 law enforcement officers that work here on campus who have passed away after the incident happened. And I know you were one of the first people here on scene. It's been a situation unfolding for hours. So just walk us through what happened when you got here, and we'll have more information on the other end.
Right, yeah. Bridgewater College put out a tweet about 1:24 saying that there was an active shooter situation on campus. We came out here East Market Street between 3rd and 4th Street, East College Street, and what we found was a perimeter, a police tape all the way around Memorial Hall and also Flory Hall. And we have some video that we can show folks at home here of what the scene looked like. Now, when we got here, Virginia State Police, Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, also Harrisonburg Police was out here as well. And they wouldn't confirm to us at that time what happened. We knew there was a shooting, but they wouldn't confirm it. They did say the investigation was ongoing and it was an active crime scene at that point. Now, we do know at 1:55 today, the suspect was taken into custody in an armed situation. Now, from the photograph that we saw and the video that a viewer has sent us, the suspect did not seem to be armed at the time he was apprehended, but he was certainly surrounded by multiple law enforcement agencies from multiple jurisdictions at gunpoint. And, you know, we mentioned the students being in the classroom all that time. Kyle, you spoke to many of them this afternoon.
You know, this apparently was happening in between, or right as classes were about to end, some were about to start. One startling comment a student told me today, he said, if it had been 5 minutes earlier, I would have been out there. Instead, they were in their classrooms. I want to show you some video we got earlier today. I talked to a couple of students as they were coming out of the buildings. They were in there for 2 hours as they were locked down in place. Here's what they had to say.
We were all just sitting in our class, and then all of a sudden we just heard a gunshot. We thought maybe someone ran into something, and then all of a sudden we heard another 2, and everyone just dropped to the floor. We all just dropped and laid in the building, barricaded ourselves, and just waited it out until everyone got here to help us.
It was crazy. I mean, we was just in class learning our lesson like we normally do. Tuesdays we usually in the lecture room. Thursdays we're not normally even in there, which threw us off crazy. But we just heard gunshots go off. We immediately look around at each other in shock, and then we get down once a couple more go off shortly after. We our door doesn't even lock, so it makes it so we were all confused, scared, worried about what we should do.
I will bring every single gun loaded and ready to, I will call every...
Okay, that's 3 minutes. You've gone past your time. It's a policy. Thank you.
I'll see y'all on Monday.
Breaking news on this Friday night after a Page County woman had that to say at a school board meeting last night. Tonight, police say they've charged Amelia King, whose comments are getting a lot of attention, not only around the valley, but all over the internet, too.
First, I want to say that I typically come to these meetings with a written statement. I like to sound educated, and when I go off the cuff, I get really passionate.
Amelia King spoke to Page County school board members Thursday night as they were set to talk about Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin's executive order to reverse school mask mandates.
It would allow parents to choose if their children want to opt out of wearing a mask at school. The 42-year-old was allotted 3 minutes to talk. She called on transparency from the school board, but when it came around to sharing her thoughts on masks in schools,
The mask protects the person that's wearing it.
That's 3 minutes.
time was up.
All right, no mask mandates. My children will not come to school on Monday with a mask on. All right, that's not happening. And I will bring every single gun loaded and ready to, I will call every.
Okay, that's 3 minutes. You've gone past your time. It's a policy. Thank you.
I'll see y'all on Monday.
We are starting with breaking news in Shenandoah County. Since this morning, we've been following a situation in Mount Jackson where a Timberville man has been in a standoff with police since around 6:30 last night. Joining us from Mount Jackson right now with more information on that standoff is WHSV's Simone McKinney. Simone, what can you tell us right now?
Taylor, this is a situation that has been ongoing since 6:30 p.m. last night. So starting at the beginning, the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office was called to this area at around 6:30 last night for a report of a wanted man inside a trailer that was not his. And I'll step out of the way so you kind of see the scene we've been at all morning. You can see a heavy police presence down this road. The Sheriff's Office has confirmed that Joshua Linton of Timberville has since been held up inside, and police have been negotiating with Linton since last night. State police have taken over negotiations, and Linton was originally wanted in Rockingham County, and police have also obtained warrants for counts of reckless handling of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Now, this situation is still ongoing. Like I said, we've been out here all morning, but officials have been out here since around 6:30 last night. We do know that Virginia State Police have assisted in this incident and are taking over at this time. We'll continue to follow this story all day long, so stay tuned to our website, WHSV.com, as well as our WHSV app, and we'll continue coverage. For now, I'll send it back to you live in Shenandoah County. Simone McKinney, WHSV.
Investigators in West Virginia are still awaiting identification from a medical examiner on skeletal remains found late last month. Those are believed to be those of missing hiker Cassie Sheets. State police still will continue their search in the area of the Monongahela National Forest where the remains were found once the weather clears up. While they can't rule it out yet, they say there doesn't appear to be foul play involved.
Given the distance of where the remains were located, number one, even if there was foul play involved, even half that distance, it's not feasible for other things to have transpired. We've concluded during our investigation, it's highly unlikely there was foul play, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
The remains were found over 8 miles from the area near Spruce Knob that was initially searched by police.
Yeah, Kayla and Kyle. So the shooting took place right here behind me at the Culworth parking garage, and this area was blocked off for much of the day, and the entire Charlottesville area had a heavy police presence throughout the day. But on the UVA grounds here, it was eerily quiet for much of the day earlier today as the university community is in mourning.
We just received information the suspect is in custody.
That was the moment we learned that Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. had been apprehended, bringing an end to a 12-hour manhunt on a day that shook Charlottesville.
This is an unimaginably sad day for our community. The entire university community is grieving this morning. My heart is broken for the victims and their families and for all those who knew and loved them.
I spoke with 2 UVA students who live right across the street from where the shooting took place.
We walked right past it. I'd say as we were passing the bridge right there, we saw all the emergency vehicles start to come, and we started to get worried. We kind of picked up our pace. We got back to where we were going, and maybe 5 minutes after we got back, we got all these notifications. It was scary.
It was a somber mood on the grounds today as students deal with the aftermath of the stunning tragedy.
I think everyone was really scared last night, and a lot of what is going on right now is people just checking in on their friends, telling them they love them, and just kind of coming together as a community as we all have to deal with this tragedy.
Yeah, we're very shocked. I can't believe something like that would happen like a few hundred feet away from where I live.
A wintry mix spread across the valley this morning, leaving a thin layer of ice behind.
That rounded out in a cold rain this afternoon. Ben's going to have your forecast on this first alert weather day in just a moment. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kayla Brooks.
And I'm Chelsea Church. Let's get a live look at Harrisonburg on this first alert weather day. This is a look at East Market Street, which was the site of a crash earlier today. And with this weather, it is still best to stay off the roads if you can.
This is what it looked like earlier today. A crash involving a tractor trailer closed down the road this afternoon. Drivers were asked to avoid the area. The crash has been cleaned up, and it was by around 2:25.
So let's get a check of our forecast now with meteorologist Ben Beddos.
Ben, I know a lot is cleared out of the way, but we still need to be careful, right?
Yeah, because temperatures, they're right around the freezing mark or just above freezing, and you know how wet the roads are or still icy they are. That's certainly something we have to be concerned about as we go into the evening and overnight. But in terms of anything being added to this storm, in terms of rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain, whatever you want to call it, that's not going to be a factor as we see the storm continues to move off to the northeast, bringing plenty of rain and even some snow across portions of New York, Pennsylvania, and also into New Jersey. But more importantly, out of our way. Current temperatures right now are pretty much at or above freezing, as we're seeing temperatures right now 33 in Harrisonburg, 32 for Waynesboro, 35 for Stanton. We are 34 in Franklin, 33 in Broadway, 34 for Woodstock right now, with 32 in Moorfield and 36 degrees in Petersburg. So overall, really, as we go into the evening, we'll continue to really see temperatures really stick into the mid 30s overall. As we take a look, you can see we'll start out again mid 30s. Pretty much keep the mid 30s around for much of the night, much of the evening at least. And as we go into the overnight, we'll be down in the upper 20s to lower 20, upper 20s to lower 30s. Places that, again, really just have wet surfaces on it may refreeze, but if you have at least you have icy roads right now, wherever you're located, it's probably going to stay icy. So you certainly want to be careful, at least going into tonight and probably the first part of tomorrow morning. So here's your weather headlines. Quieting down across our area. Again, roads may refreeze. I just touched on that. But hey, as we go into tomorrow, sunshine is going to return across our area. And temperatures, though, they are going to stay below average. I'll have more of what you need to know coming up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben.
Covering Virginia's 6th congressional district. The incumbent, there he is, Republican Congressman Ben Cline, greeting voters this morning in Salem on their way into their polling place.
Meanwhile, Democrat Jennifer Lewis of Waynesboro spent part of her morning in Roanoke meeting with voters there.
This congressional district is a long one.
It runs from the Roanoke Valley through the Shenandoah Valley and north to Winchester.
This race called not long after the polls closed tonight, and Kaylee joins us now. Kaylee?
Kyle and Chelsea, Republican Ben Cline will continue to represent Virginia's 6th congressional district. This will be his 3rd term. The race was called by the Associated Press just after 8 p.m. At this time, Cline taking 64% of the vote, while Democrat challenger Jennifer Lewis around 36%, according to the Department of Elections. Last week when I spoke with the congressman, he said his top priorities included tackling inflation, bringing down prices, and combating crime. Cline celebrating his victory with supporters in Winchester tonight. Here's what he had to say.
The past 4 years have been the honor of my life, but under Nancy Pelosi's speakership, it has been a challenge, to say the least. A very frustrating experience, and hopefully under a Republican majority, we're going to be able to get more done for the people of the 6th District, for working families, and for the American people.
Around the valley, protesters have gathered at the Augusta County Courthouse in Stanton this evening. WHSV's Kayla Brooks is live there now. Kayla, how are people feeling?
Yeah, people are angry, Chelsea. They're frustrated and they're scared. Just behind me in front of the courthouse, there are about 30 people holding signs and chanting. Some people driving by showing their support with a thumbs up. Other people are yelling some pro-life slogans. But for right now, it is important to remember that abortion is still legal in the Commonwealth. I spoke with an expert at the UVA Center for Politics, and he explained what would transpire for that to change. With a Republican governor and Republican majority in the House, there is talk about making abortion more restricted, but the state Senate has a Democratic majority. As far as what this means for the future, it just depends on elections.
Both chambers of the legislature are going to be up in 2023. So I think that depending on how those elections go, that's going to be a very big factor in kind of the future of abortion in the state of Virginia.
Many states like Kentucky and Tennessee do have trigger laws to restrict abortion right away. Virginia does not have those. That's what we know right now, but it's always possible that could change in the future.
All right, Kayla, so moving forward, what implications does this ruling have?
Right, so that's some things that people are worried about. Some of the opinions were brought up in the ruling, like interracial marriage, gay marriage, and things that make contraception legal. While some say these fears are unfounded, others say Roe has no historical standing in the U.S., and neither do those other rulings. Justice Clarence Thomas said the court should consider the precedents of those rulings.
They feel like, the Supreme Court is taking a hand, they're going to take an arm next. It's going to be sort of a slippery slope. Okay, well, if they're coming for abortion today, some of the conservatives are maybe setting the groundwork for going after gay marriage next.
Much like with the future of abortion in the Commonwealth, it is unclear. Now, it's important to remember this is not a nationwide ban on abortion. Abortion is still very much legal in the Commonwealth, so while some are celebrating today as a win, others are scared for what it may mean in the future.
I knew I had to do something. They're not going to listen to just one voice, so we knew that we had to get everyone together.
Students at Harrisonburg High School made their voices heard this afternoon.
The fact that this is student-led shows that there's a lot more passion, that we're willing to come out here and take those risks.
Jaden said the walkout has been in the planning phase since Governor Youngkin released his model policies for the treatment of transgender students in Virginia's public schools.
I just want to protect my friends. If it was a perfect world, obviously we wouldn't even have to do this.
More than 70,000 comments were made on the public comment form on this matter before the October 26 deadline. As you scroll, there are comments both in opposition and favor of the governor's policies. One anonymous commenter wrote they, quote, strongly support Governor Youngkin's 2022 policy for parental rights. One commenter who opposed the policy wrote, quote, children have the right to be themselves, and no policy should assume they are mere extensions of their parents' will. This will only encourage harm against trans kids disguised as concern.
I hope that more people take youth trans citizens more seriously. I feel like we're often told, oh, it's just a phase, we're just confused, and we're not taken seriously because of our age and not because of how we feel.
No closure. Like we still don't know nothing. So it's, you go every day knowing your daughter is not there, but not knowing anything else.
Family and friends of Cassie Sheets are still without answers nearly 2 years after her disappearance in the Spruce Knob area. 1 year ago today, West Virginia State Police were led to skeletal remains deep in the Monongahela National Forest that they believe to be Sheets, but there still has been no DNA confirmation from the medical examiner's office. WHSV's Colby Johnson has followed this story for the last year and a half. He joins us now in the studio. Colby.
Yeah, Chelsea, yesterday I spoke with the West Virginia State Trooper who's handling the Cassie Sheets investigation. He said that it is not uncommon for the results of DNA tests to take this long and that his investigation can't move forward until those test results come back.
And it's every day waiting for that phone call and not getting it, not being able to say, yes, this is definitely it, or, talking to her girls and them asking questions and can't answer anything.
On March 11th, 2021, Cassie Sheets and 2 men went missing while hiking in the Spruce Knob area of Pendleton County. The 2 men were later found alive, but Sheets was not. Nearly 2 years later, her family is still looking for answers.
To find out that it can take up to a year or even longer than that to have that information. It just doesn't sit right with any of us knowing that there are other cases that have been solved within a year.
Cassie's friends and family say they feel that her disappearance and the investigation into it did not receive the attention it deserved because she had a criminal record.
Even though she made mistakes in life, she's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's friend. She's somebody's family, and she was a human being.
Cassie's friends and family say they miss her greatly and want to make sure she's not forgotten.
I just miss her personality. Like her personality was, she was a good person. You know, she'd been through a lot in life and like she never let it get her down. It's just been hard.
Her being there just lit up a room. I miss so much about her. Her singing, her singing. I can't even listen to music now because, you know, I just remember her singing these same songs.
No matter who you were, whether you were a stranger on the streets, she cared about everyone.
New details tonight about the shooting on Devon Lane in Harrisonburg that happened early Sunday morning.
As we've reported, police arrested Tyree Fleming in connection to the shooting, which left 8 people hurt. But today we're learning more new details about him. We are glad you're with us. I'm Kyle Rogers.
And I'm Chelsea Church. Court records are telling us more about Fleming and the events that led up to Sunday's shooting.
WHSV's Mandy Bartholomew combed through those court documents. She's live now in Harrisonburg with the latest. Mandy?
Kyle and Chelsea, I read through court documents today to learn more about Sunday's incident, and according to the affidavit, there was an intended victim. Court records say that victim was shot 3 times, hitting their lower legs, and they were taken to UVA for surgery. Court documents state witnesses told police Fleming showed up to the gathering looking for the intended victim. Witnesses reportedly told police Fleming pulled a pistol from his waistband and started firing off rounds. HPD said Fleming is currently facing charges of attempted murder, aggravated malicious wounding, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and the use of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Virginia State Police say the driver and passenger of the tractor trailer were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. They say an individual in the pickup truck died at the scene. Due to the severity of the crash, all northbound and southbound lanes of I-81 were blocked near exit 221, causing crews to shut down the interstate in that area.
We very quickly were able to set up detours northbound and southbound so that we could send folks around Route 262 around the city between exits 220 and 225.
The impact of the crash caused liquid spillage across all lanes of the interstate, which led to many hours of cleanup for crews.
Because of the cold temperatures we had this morning, that cargo froze to the asphalt, so it created some slippery conditions.
Along with the cleanup, VDOT says crews also began making repairs to the bridge after the damage to the guardrail.
Hopefully it's not going to be affecting any of the Thanksgiving traffic, but we'll be doing some updates on that. Traffic can use that bridge. It's safe for folks to drive underneath and for drivers to use the left way.
Chelsea and Kyle, today's sentencing began with Jaquez Brown's attorney asking the judge to set aside the charge of first-degree murder for a charge of second-degree murder. Another man involved with the murder, Cameron Bali, was sentenced in August to 18 years for second-degree murder. Bali testified against Brown, saying Brown is the one who pulled the trigger. Brown today brought that into question, saying it was actually Bali. But that is not what was found in the trial in June, so Brown was sentenced for his first-degree murder charge to serve 41 years in prison. Brown made a statement before sentencing, speaking on his connection to both the victim, Bruce Williams, and Bali, calling out spectators by name.
Bob and Kyle, our hearts are very heavy today for these 2 fallen officers and their families, but it was touching to see so many people come out to pay their respects and show their support. Communities across the valley and across the country coming to Harrisonburg Wednesday to remember the lives of officers John Painter and J.J. Jefferson.
The dynamic duo, J.J. and John, blessed us with their warm friendship, their knucklehead humor, their dedicated service, and of course their personal sacrifice.
Many spoke during the joint funeral service, describing officers Jefferson and Painter as loyal, loving, and strong, but above all else, heroes.
But among all of the heroes this world has ever had, there is not one admired more than the guy that I call Dad.
Officer Jefferson is being remembered as someone who was selfless and loved the students and community he served.
When he enforced the rules, he did so out of love to see students make better, wiser,
choices. He recognized the importance of the season of life college students are in.
Officer Painter was someone other officers looked up to and were proud to work with.
He never complained. He loved his officers, he loved his job, he loved his community, and in spite of his title, he was always humble.
The lives these two men touched, going beyond family and friends, though. The Bridgewater College community grateful Jefferson and Painter were there on February 1st.
My heart is full of gratitude to the two brave men who offered the ultimate sacrifice of their lives to save and protect more people than we will ever know. Not many are willing to step up to the call of placing their lives in harm's way for the good of others.
It was a day that Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin said shattered not just the local community, but the entire Commonwealth.
Our hearts are broken for you. Good afternoon. And on behalf of all Virginians, I express our deepest condolences.
The community remembering the officers for paying the ultimate sacrifice when they ended their watch and sent their final call.
Officer John Painter and Safety Officer J.J. Jefferson's end of watch was Tuesday, February the 1st, 2022, while serving and protecting their community with honor and courage. On behalf of your family, brothers and sisters in blue, partners in public safety, and the entire community, thank you for making the ultimate sacrifice to protect innocent lives. Final call for Units 3118 and 316. May you rest in peace.
Well, as you may have noticed, we finally have a new look here at WHSV, and it's all for you.
Yes, for almost 2 decades, it was time for a fresh look, something you, our viewer, deserve. Kyle takes us behind the scenes.
Here we go.
After 16 years, it was out with the old and in with the new, all new. New anchor desk, new lights, not only from above, but around. All those new monitors, 43 to be exact. For WHSV General Manager Jay Webb, this was a project years in the making.
This whole process, this whole project took about 2 years from start to finish. And we kept the viewer experience in mind from start to finish. And everything in here is brand new. We're very proud of that.
Good evening. I'm Chelsea Church.
And I'm Kyle Rogers. We're glad you're with us tonight.
For more than 2 months, we've been broadcasting from that temporary set in our newsroom, all while crews tore down what we've been used to for almost 2 decades. So some of the best TV studio designers in the business could work hard for you to make our new home just as much as your new home for local news.
Local storytelling is important, and how those stories are presented is equally important. I think it's cliche in our industry to say our new set is state of the art, but this really is. This studio will allow our local journalists to showcase their stories like never before.
Our new home uses the latest studio technology, and our showpiece, this massive video wall.
For our First Alert Storm team, they have a new home too, giving you the forecast from yet another big screen monitor to enhance your viewing experience.
From the design phase to the fabrication phase to the installation phase, we did this for the viewers and we did it for the staff. And this would not have been possible without our talented production staff, creative services staff, engineering staff especially, and our parent company, Gray Television, based in Atlanta, Georgia. This is a substantial investment in local journalism.
Our work out of this new studio comes with the same promise and commitment we've had for years. We'll continue to be working hard for you.